Hi, my name is Matthew Lopez, and I am a shooter with the Sony a6400. Now, I primarily shoot in HLG3 with a BT 2020 color space, so that way I can future-proof my work for future monitors and TVs. Now, today I wanted to show you a process of how you can make your Sony HLG3 footage look great today on the current monitors, and I will show you the process that I use to transform my footage, but also to color it. And one of the ways I like to color it is using the color transform options that's in DaVinci Resolve, which will be the primary software I'll be using today. And in there I will be taking the HLG, telling the system that it is Rec 709, then taking that Rec 709, turning it into RE Alexa footage, specifically C-Log, and then converting it back over into a Rec 709 video. And with that little trick in the middle, you'll get a better highlight roll-off. So without further ado, I'd like to show you my process. So within DaVinci Resolve here, I'm going to start my edit. I have two clips in here that you can clearly see. One is of me, just kind of in front of a tree. I've also lit myself with a video light. And then the other one is of my wife. Just we're at the park. Let's see, it also has her some relatives of hers. So we'll take these two clips and we'll start to transform it. Now the best way to transform it is to go down to first go down to this little cog on the bottom. This will open up your project settings, and in it the main one we want to go to is called color management. Now in color management you'll see this little color science that says DaVinci Resolve YRGB. I'm going to click down on that and I'm going to go down to the same thing only with color management. I select that and then I go into my input settings and I say that this is Rec 709 Rec 2100 HLG. My timeline settings, I want it to be the exact same. But then for output settings, we're going to keep that Rec 709 Gamma 2.4. So that is good, so I'm going to go ahead and save it. Now what you see to the footage now is it gets super blown out. That's because we are taking a bigger color space and condensing it into the smaller color space, and your chroma channel is going to be also squished down, so everything now looks brighter. So now I'm going to show you how I personally process it. So we're going to go into the edit menu. I'm going to drag my two clips in, just like that. And now we're going to go into the color menu. So first we're going to start off with me. So in here you will see the video of me, but you also see these nodes over here. Now DaVinci Resolve uses nodes, not layers, and it makes things less likely to bog down, and so that's how this particular software can handle extensive projects. So the first thing I'm going to do is keep this node the same, but then I'm going to right click on it and click Add Serial Node. And after I add the serial node, you'll see that my effects menu is opened up, and in here I will select Color Space Transform. Now pay attention to what happens to my image over here when I start selecting these options on the side. So the first thing is the input color space. I'm now going to say that it's Rec 709 because it is. Notice I've gotten kind of a little bit more dull and desaturated. Then I will say my input color or my timeline or input gamma, is going to be this Rec 2100 HLG. Now I'm going to go to RE Alexa and say that's the kind of color space I wanted to output to. As you can see, it didn't really get more saturated, but what it did is kind of shift all my skin tones to magenta so far. The last step in here will be to say that it is RE log C. Now you can see it's a very flat profile in here, and that's kind of where we want to start. So in here I'm going to kind of bring, so you see my parade scope right there, I'm going to bring down all of the lighting and squish it down because it is kind of bright, but we want to get a good mid-tone. So in here I'm going to bring down my highlights, bring up my mids a bit, find a happy balance with the lift, and just kind of adjust it so it looks about right. I'll also use my curve right here to kind of do the same. So I'll do that, bring this down a bit, and then I'll bring that down right there. So we got a pretty good happy medium. I think I'm going to go into my log wheels real quick and just bring up my mids just a little bit more, and then my highlights just a little bit more, and my shadows down just a bit. So now we have a pretty evenly lit flat image in here. I'm going to go ahead and add one more node, close out my effects window, and then over here in my LUTs, we are going to go to DaVinci Resolve's specific RE Alexa C-Log to Rec 709. I'm going to go ahead and add that in. Now, as you see, things got back contrasted again for a Rec 709 image. Now in here, I'm going to bring down my highlights because they're pretty bright. So bring those down a bit. Find a happy medium, bring these up. And let's see, bring these down a bit. We'll try using a curve one more time. Try to find a good happy medium. Bring these down a bit. Go back into the log and see if we can bring it down in here a bit. And you're trying not to crush the colors too much. So this is looking pretty close to where I want it, maybe right around there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and, while we're here, we're going to boost the color up a bit, not too much, probably around an 850. So this is giving it a pretty good color, and what you see with this RE Alexa C-Log is it's kind of giving us a way better highlight roll-off. So we're not necessarily gaining dynamic range, but what we're actually doing is we're actually cleaning the dynamic range up a bit, I would like to say. So I'm going to go ahead and just adjust this a little bit more, and then I'm going to go into here, push the saturation up just a tad, and then the last thing I like to do while we're staying in this node is to change the hue ever so slightly, and we're actually shifting my skin tones a little bit more towards the magenta, because Sony cameras tend to lean a little bit towards the green with skin. Even with the 6400, with all the color science improvements, you'll still see a very slight green tinge. Now this is a good baseline of where I want this image. Now I'm going to go ahead and add one more node here. We're going to go into some programmed looks here. We'll go to film looks. We'll go into these free LUTs that I have gotten a little while back, and they're hard to work with this HLG, so you kind of want to get it into a good even space first and then tweak it from there. So let's go into, do I want to do Sedona? Let's see how this looks. So hover over it, and this is obviously exaggerated. And let's see, let's try humble. Hover over it. And that's kind of an interesting look, so I'll start with this. So as you can see, that LUT was added in. I'm going to go ahead and close this out. Now I have to tweak it to make this image a little bit better. So what I'm going to do is go into here and warm it up just a tad. I'm going to go down to my temp. Now I'm going to boost up the color once again. Let's do about 10. going to adjust my highlight right here, adjust my shadows right here. And now I am going to go to saturation, boost it up a bit, and again we're going to move everything towards a magenta ever so slightly. Now the last thing I want to do is tone down this look a little bit, so I'll go over to key, and then key output, and in here I'll slide it down ever so slightly. Let's go to around, let's see, go to extreme and then back up. Kind of want it around just under 8. Okay, somewhere in around here. And so this is looking pretty good. Let's see. Let's do a general shift of the colors to see where we kind of want to keep the look at. Maybe not that. Let's do low. Okay, we're going to shift my shadows ever so slightly and push my midtones up just a bit towards the red. And then let's go back to our curve. Step the mids. Going to add a little bit of that saturation back by dropping the shadows. I'm going to also sharpen up the mids. About 41. Same one here. Pop that to there. Alright, this is basically where I kind of want it. And obviously I could do a little bit more tweaking here and there. But let's go ahead and say, yeah, this is good for now. I'm going to go ahead and grab the steel. I'm going to go over to this shot and going to add this into the look. So the way we do that is go over to Gallery, right click on the copied grade that it took, and click on Applied Grade. So now we have this image of my wife, but what we're going to do now is, because it's not going to match perfectly, so we're going to see how we can tweak this. Let's try boosting up the whole shot just a bit. Let's see, maybe if we bring up the shadows, that's probably what it is. Yep, there it is. I'm going to warm the whole thing up a little bit more by shift hers a little bit more to the magenta and pull these shadows a little bit away. I think the last thing we'll do is tone down this one a little bit more again.